Many of you here, I just want to take a moment. Cappy Lang is our new Executive Director of Governmental Relations. She's in the back of the room. Cappy's staff is here as well. Mike Bass has played a really key role with Illinois Connection. So Mike, thanks for being here. I also saw Walter Knorr walk in, our Chief Financial Officer. Thank you for being here as well. Dr. Bob Rich, head of IGPA, is a very good partner of ours, the Institute. Thank you, Bob. He heads up the Institute of Government and Public Affairs that give us some of our really good data that we can use in telling our story. I also saw Senator Frericks and his wife Laura and their daughter walk in. Senator Frericks, thank you for being here. And I believe Jesse Ruiz, the head of the Illinois Board of Education, is here with us. He's also an Illinois Connection advocate. So you wave. I'm just going to take a quick moment, look back at Illinois Connection by the numbers. As President Hogan indicated, we're close to 8,000. We have 7,932 current advocates, which is almost triple over this meeting last year. So thanks to all of you who helped recruit and to my fellow staffers that have done the same on our board. It's awesome. A couple other numbers, 185, that's the number of Illinois Connection advocates and students. Many of them, the student leaders are here like David. We went down to Springfield to lobby, a very successful event. We had 185 and we'd love to have even more of you participate in Lobby Day next year. 2,121, that is the number of emails and letters sent to the legislature last year to ask for restored funding for the MAP program, the Monetary Assistance Program. And the number 13,000 is the number of U of I students that were able to be here this fall because the legislature, with our efforts and our voice, they restored the $20 million that was cut. That is really a direct impact we had working in coalition with other universities like SIU. So we were successful in getting the funding restored, and it's really very clear to us. The legislature passed legislation restoring the $20 million on the day that we were down at a rally in Springfield. So there's a direct connection there with the work that we've done. And 1,726 is the number of letters, emails, faxes, and phone calls that went into the legislature about the budget this year. So I appreciate all of your efforts. We had a very successful year. We've not only grown in numbers, but also in influence. So I thank you all for that. Because of you, our voices were heard in Springfield, and also I know many of you talked to your other community leaders, your family members, your children, your parents about Illinois Connection, about the University of Illinois, and we need to keep doing those same efforts. I'm also very thankful to the members of our advocacy committee that are here today. Almost all of them are here. They provide me and Lauren and our board of directors with strategic direction for the issues that we should be working on and strategic direction with growing Illinois Connection. I'd like to take a moment to recognize them. Gary Chico, our chairman, sits on the committee. So Gary, thank you for your efforts. And I just want to ask everyone else to stand. Joyce Narduli, Jane Hayes Rader, Donovan Pepper, Mary Marilyn, don't be shy. Ed Malisak is right here, and Dave Cocaine. And am I missing anyone else on the committee? Thank you all so much for what you do. Last but not least is our chairman, Tom Livingston, who's also vice chair. I believe that's the right title, Tom. Vice chair of the U of I Alumni Association Board of Directors, and Tom is going to say a few words.
Thank you, Amy, and I'd like to acknowledge Amy Eichhorst. She has brought energy, she's reached across campuses and done a great job for Illinois Connection, so good job. I have the pleasure of presenting a proclamation of appreciation to somebody who is retiring from the Illinois General Assembly after a very distinguished career, and that is Representative Bill Black. And for a context, for those few of you who don't know Representative Black, he has the heart of a lion and sometimes the voice of a lion. Not only on the sidelines of Illini basketball and football games, but on the floor of the General Assembly. And sometimes I've been a beneficiary of that and sometimes not, depending on the issue. If this man were my legislator, I'd be very pleased because he is passionate but sincere. And in presenting this, I'd like to call up Representative Riley, if you could stand with us, and Senator Frericks, if you could come stand with us to present this proclamation of appreciation. Representative Black has been in the legislature since 1986, and as he is retiring this year, we would like to acknowledge him. And we want, for the picture purposes, let's get the advocacy committee up here as well. As a lifelong advocate, I'm reading now the proclamation and supporter for the University of Illinois. The Board of Directors of the University of Illinois Alumni Association proclaims its gratitude and admiration to you, Representative Black, for your service in the Illinois General Assembly on behalf of the citizens of the state, more than 300,000 of whom are University of Illinois alumni. With your experience as an educator and college administrator, you have championed support and funding for higher education in our state. Your political leadership has been recognized with numerous outstanding legislator awards from various associations. As a graduate of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, having earned a master's degree in education in 1968, you proudly reflect your allegiance in words and in deeds. You exemplify what Illinois loyalty truly means. And I'd like your help on this part as a send-off into retirement, although we'll be calling you as an ambassador of Illinois Connections, our familiar cheer. I-L-L. I-N-I. I-L-L. I-N-I. Congratulations, Representative Black.
Thank you very much. When a politician gets a standing ovation like that, we just assume you're getting ready to walk out. Thank you very much, Tom. And I've never been known as very politically correct. I refer to Tom Livingston as the chief. And I'm sorry for those of you who don't agree, but perhaps I can call him chief once again before I die. I don't know. Thank you very much. Chancellor Chang has left. I was going to congratulate her on building a new football stadium at SIU, and of course tell her that the General Assembly will no doubt investigate that in January as to just exactly how she paid for that. There was a story a long time ago I'd like to share with you. Very briefly, it involves a graduate of the University of Illinois, a veterinarian who's a good friend of mine. And every 10 years, the General Assembly gets reapportioned, redistricted after the census. And Illinois is one of the few states that we generally end up drawing that out of a hat, and whoever's the winner, the Democrats will draw the map, or the Republicans will draw the map. The Democrats always gerrymander it, the Republicans always draw a fair map. Now, if you believe that, I have some land in Florida I'd like to sell you. But it's a strange way that we do it in Illinois, and I think we're probably the only state left that does. And it was one of the reasons that I advocated a constitutional convention 2 years ago, and that was a popular stand to take, and I was soundly defeated in that call. But we need to change a few things in this state, and nothing comes easy. But I remember when I was reapportioned back in the 90s, into Iroquois County, which was a new county. I had represented parts of Edgar, parts of Vermilion, a small piece of Champaign. Now I was getting what is basically the third largest county in square miles in the state of Illinois, but only about 35,000 people live there. So when you've been in this business, or whether you're an ambassador or whether you're on a board, the first thing you want to get to know is, who are the gatekeepers? Who can introduce me? How do I get to know the movers and the shakers, if you'll allow me that terminology? So I went into the county clerk's office, and he was a fine gentleman, and he told me, he said, well, I'll tell you what, right now, you have to go see a veterinarian who's practiced in this county for years and years and years, knows everybody. And I can tell you how to get to his place. Gave me a little plat, showed me how to get there. I drove around some rural roads in Iroquois County, and they have a lot of rural roads. For those of you up north, they have what we call 12-foot single slab roads. It's a 12-foot wide piece of concrete with gravel shoulders. And that was built back in the 20s and early 30s to get Illinois out of the mud. Well, when I will bring my Chicago colleagues, and I'd love to do this with you, Al, when we drive down one of those single slab roads and a car is approaching, the Chicago legislator always said, "Good Lord, what are you going to do?" I said, "Don't worry, we each get off the side of the road at the right time." He said, "Who in the world would build roads like this?" I said, "With your help, we'll fix them." But anyway, I drove through the county roads and rural roads, and sure enough, I looked at my plat map and I see this beautiful tree-lined driveway. Oh, it was just gorgeous. And I knew this was the place. I started up the driveway, and here was a large sign. Dr. George E. Richards, Jr., veterinarian/taxidermist. And I thought to myself, I have never seen that combination. Then I noticed there was some small print underneath. I had to drive a few more feet, and I could read the small print, and it said, "Either way, you get your pet back." That's what I'd like to share with you today, because that's what's going on in Springfield. It's that feeling that either way, the University of Illinois will prosper. Either way, the students can afford to go there. Either way, higher education will survive in Illinois. And your job is to tell the legislators that that's not true. It isn't either way it will work. You have to make it work. And that's your job. Education is everybody's #1 priority when they run. But when they get to Springfield, well, yes it is, but, I mean, we have to build this museum. We have to put a stained glass window in a parking garage. It's time that we say to them, to us, to me, no more. I spent 10 years working for a community college, and the community college, and Jerry, I'd like to thank you for all the work you do on the community college system up north. For years, that funding mechanism was in statute. 1/3 came from the state of Illinois, 1/3 would come from student tuition, and 1/3 would come from their local property tax base. Now, Danville Community College is not from a wealthy property tax area. And yet this year, the state of Illinois contributes 25.25% to the operation of that community college, and as President Hogan just told you, student tuition now makes up 47%, and property taxes the rest. Folks, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Community colleges were supposed to be the institution where you could go, get the first 2 years, or heaven forbid, learn a technical skill or trade, and talk to employers out there about how difficult it is to find somebody today who can do the work that needs to be done. My brother owns a heating and air conditioning company. He can't find anybody that can go out and fix an air conditioner today or open up a high-efficiency furnace and fix it. That can't continue. You know, vocational technical education was always for somebody else's kid. Not mine. Mine's going to college. Well, we're going to make it possible, if we don't turn this thing around, that nobody's kid is going to go to college if we don't really get serious in Springfield. And I wish I could tell you that all of these budget problems are going to get worked out and that everything will be fine tomorrow. That is an abject lie, and I won't insult your intelligence. We are in such a mess that it's going to take 2, perhaps 3 years of work, hard work, and difficult decisions to work our way out of it. And it may involve a tax increase. And I know nobody wants to hear that. And it may involve some hard cuts in unnecessary spending. And you want a hard job, run for the General Assembly and try to determine what is unnecessary spending. Because what is unnecessary to somebody is somebody else's bread and butter. You know, I read polls all the time. We have no confidence in our state legislator, no confidence in our congressman, but mine's pretty good. I I just want to thank you for what you do and ask you to continue to do it. And whatever award or proclamation you could give me, let me share with my friend and colleague Mike Frerichs, who works very hard for this university, my friend and colleague Al Riley, who is one of the eloquent younger members of the Illinois General Assembly. To see people here, Donovan Pepper, who I met as a young man when he was on Speaker Michael Madigan's staff. And when I used to introduce bills, it was Donovan's job to come and tell me and said, the Speaker doesn't like your bill. And I would say, Donovan, that's not news. I don't think he's ever liked one of my bills. But to Donovan's credit, he would work with me and we would try to get it in a way that Speaker Madigan would in fact like some of my bills. And by golly, we even got a few passed. And Dave Cocaine was a senior here at the university. I had been in the General Assembly almost 15 years when David Cocaine graduated from the University of Illinois. So as Mayor Daley said the other day, sometimes you have to know when it's time to move on. And when I got out of bed, I had a Spartan apartment in Springfield. So Spartan, my wife would never come to visit. Never. She might come during the day, but she would never stay the night. And I would just like to thank my wife Sharon, who's down here in front, for allowing me to do what I thoroughly enjoy doing. It's like any job, folks. It has some good days, and it has some really bad days. And no matter how hard you try, you're going to make mistakes. But what a privilege it is for me to be here with people like Jerry Chico, Lauren Taylor, Amy Eichhorst, Tom Livingston, everybody that's up here, Trustee McMillan, a legend in his area. I've heard his name for years and years and years, and you're a highly respected individual. People that I've grown up with, Mike Bass, who does wonderful work for the university and was also a pretty fair kicker in his day. But I see today he has his shoes on. Cappy Lang, who I met years ago in Springfield, now you're Executive Director of Government Relations. She knows Springfield, and she will do a good job. But she can't do it alone. And I'm glad to see we have a candidate for governor. Could you hurry up? I want you to stop and think. 12 years ago, Jim Edgar, I'm proud to call him a friend, even if he did graduate from Eastern Illinois University, 12 years ago, when that man left office, we had a cash balance, surplus balance, of more than $2 billion. Cash balance. 12 years later, $13 billion debt, $6 billion, we've whittled it down a little, $6 billion in unpaid bills. The recession is absolutely devastating our revenue stream, and we just haven't been able to come together as a legislative body to figure out what cuts we have to make, what revenue we may have to change or enhance. That's the politician's way of saying tax increase. Well, we'll enhance our revenue. I don't know what the future holds, and part of me is really upset that I won't be there with some of the, to at least try to give input into the very difficult decisions. But you can help make those decisions. Don't just write your legislators. Al and Tom and Mike can back me up. It's not unusual for us to get 100 to 150 letters a day. It's not unusual with technology now to get what I call a mass email, and your administrative assistant can walk in the morning and say, good grief, I have 485 emails on the computer. Or to go to the fax machine that's smoking because of blast faxes, and you're getting 700 of those before noon. Go visit your legislator. Find out where their office is. Make an appointment. Go talk to them. Get information from Amy or Cappy or anybody else, and let them know, because I don't think very many of them realize that student tuition is now the major part of your income. Who else but the Illinois General Assembly, when the university raised tuition 9%, could immediately say, we need to investigate that university. They are gouging those students. Whose fault is it? If we don't appropriate the money,